like to talk about managing work volumes. And in particular, let's look at the Eisenhower matrix. The Eisenhower matrix looks at how urgent an activity is and how important the activity is. And it determines on that basis which quadrant it should fall into. So if something is neither urgent nor important, in theory, you can bin that, delete it, forget all about it. It's of no worth whatsoever. If something is urgent but it's not important, can you delegate that activity so you can focus on your priorities? Or can you even push back on it to say, you're asking for this straight away, but it's not important at all. Is it even required? And it may even shift it into that quadrant 4 box. But with urgent and not important, they should be low down on your list of priorities. If something is important but it's not urgent, plan ahead for it, schedule it accordingly so you've got plenty of time to work on the accuracy, the quality of that piece of work that you need to do. And finally, if something is important and urgent, that's going to be the priority of your to-do list. That's going to be the item you need to do first before anything else. Now, this model works great if you're looking at your to-do list for the week, for the day. Right, I need to do these activities first, and I can do the not urgent but important piece, and then I can move on to the amber group and so on and so forth. You could even put into artificial intelligence, provided it's a secure AI environment. Here's my emails, my activities for the week. Can you put the activities into an Eisenhower matrix for me? Where that planning on your part for the perfect working week, working day could get blown out of the water is when you get that email arrive from someone and you're given an urgent and important task on top of what you've already got. So it can mess up your plans, and that thing that you had scheduled as important but not urgent, giving yourself plenty of time to do, takes a back seat because you've now had something unexpected come in that is urgent and important. And by the time you go to that piece that you were intending to do, now that's urgent and important. So the best laid plans can get scuppered, but it's a good model for a sort of daily basis of just checking, am I on the right track for doing the most important priorities? What are some of those examples that fit into the Eisenhower matrix? So the urgent and important activities, they could be those major risks, those critical errors that we need to fix, or an approval that is causing a delay that needs to get in play. So stop that other work that's not the urgent and important and resolve this first. If there's something that's important but not urgent, it could be like those regular meetings we do, those regular monthly reports, those progress updates. Book that time in your diary, plan ahead for that activity. The urgent but not important, maybe chasing for information, routine requests. And we say delegate that activity. Not all of us have the luxury to have people that we can delegate to in our teams. We may not manage people, we may be in a standalone role. But is there someone better suited in the organization that could potentially do that task for us? Or better still, is it a task that you can automate or create templates for that just make it nice and quick and easy to do? And finally, those items that are neither important nor urgent, it might be excessive checking of Teams messages or your inbox. It could be attending meetings where you don't feel you're really adding any value, or those reports that you don't think anyone actually ever looks at. So challenge back on those. If you've been invited to a meeting, you think, I don't quite know where I'm going to contribute here, ask to see an agenda if it's not there. What's my part in this? Where am I going to add that value? If it is a report that doesn't really seem to go anywhere, cease doing it. Best to ask permission for that, just in case it's going somewhere that you're not privy to or don't know about. But really, if it is something that doesn't seem to add any additional worth at all, then reduce it or eliminate it. The other parts of this, if I wanted to quickly summarize that urgent and important, the rule of thumb, stop other work and resolve that. If it's important but not urgent, block that diary time. And very important on this piece is protect that time as best you can, so it doesn't slip and then all of a sudden it falls into that, oh, it's now urgent important because I didn't do it in advance as I was planning. Urgent but not important, challenge the necessity, negotiate on timescales if you have to, provide existing information or obtain that existing information, ask what this activity actually supports. So it doesn't feel of any real importance to me, but there might be implications that we're not aware about and we need to play our part. And those final pieces that aren't urgent, aren't important, rule of thumb here, reduce it, automate it, create templates, or if you can, eliminate completely. So, of course, the question comes, how do you actually determine whether something really is urgent and important? And that might be as simple as asking someone else within the team the worth of a piece, asking your line manager why this is urgent and important, so you can define it through escalating and asking to say, is this definitely what needs doing now? But in being as self-sufficient as we can, some simple questions to ask around, is it urgent? Does this clearly require action today? Is someone genuinely blocked from progressing because they're waiting for me to complete something? Or will there be a significant consequence if this item of work is delayed? If it's important, does this contribute to the project's success? If it doesn't, unlikely to be important. Does it reduce risk to the project or the task? Does it improve our delivery? Does it support our team's performance? So some simple questions to reflect upon, ask oneself if we're truly not quite sure where something fits in the priority order for our daily piece of work. Aside, but all connected with this, high performers would take the following kind of mantra: risk manage before risks materialize, resource plan before the shortages occur, stakeholder engagement before any conflict arises, team development before that capability gap emerges, workforce planning in advance of mobilization. So when we do get activities that come our way and it's all becoming a little bit too much, here are some ways you can say no that's not going to land as a very negative computer says no type response. So say yes, but with constraints. So acknowledge the request you received, but state there's going to be a constraint with this and offer an alternative. Take the prioritization approach. So show the trade-offs, say ask the stakeholder to decide, I was going to do this piece that's urgent and important, you've thrown this piece in that you're also saying is urgent and important, which one would you prefer me to do? And possibly you might be able to give the consequences or the pros and cons of each one to help make that decision. Provide a data-driven no. So share objective facts, explain risks, propose a workable path. So if someone is saying you need to do this and you can't for a compliance reason, state that compliance reason, but offer alternatives if you can. Align the no to strategy and higher goals. So connect your no to higher goals of, I'm not going to do this because it's not of the value that these other things are that hit the final end goal that we're aiming for. The empathetic no, I hear where you're coming from, I validate the pressure, but it's going to be a real struggle to do this. It's going to take a real toll on me, going to take a toll on the team, whatever the situation may be. But what we can do instead is this piece and offer an alternative win. The deferral response, we often come across these. It's not viable at the moment because I've got all these other priorities, but I can come back to it in a week's time or whatever that timeline may be. The governance response, formally regulations prevent us from doing what's asked. If possible, offer an alternative, but I can't do this because we will be breaching regulations or breaching contractual requirements and so on and so forth. And the consultative no, turn your no into a question that encourages that collaboration. So be clear and direct, don't over explain, stay calm and keep a neutral tone because no one wants to be told no. Offer a path forward even if it's smaller or slightly different. Use impact, not emotion, and make those trade-offs so the stakeholder owns the end decision. So what about this as an alternative? These are the options going forward. We either choose what you're offering here or possibly these other alternatives.